A couple things. One, the U.S. military is arguably the strongest proponent of any sort of preventive program. So you'll find people in the military that are actually the fiercest advocates of foreign aid, because they know that if foreign aid fails, instability may flow from
right.
that.
And we've heard that argument because of the proposed cuts to the State Department.
And you have a number of people like former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Mike Mullen standing up and say, no, we cannot afford to do this. And so similarly, on the CVE front and on the understanding terrorism front, in the wake of 9/11, the Department of Defense actually started a social science research fund called Minerva that has funded a number of economists, sociologists, and political scientists to try and conduct empirical studies. Because as Matt mentioned, this is a field that is very methodologically difficult to come up with clean results in, and this is why here we are, 16 years after 9/11 with frustratingly vague answers on core questions. But the other thing I'd like to say too is, the other side of, I think it's incredibly important for academic disciplines, for professional associations to be very reflexive and aware of what they're participating in. But the other side of that, of the coin, right, is, the anthropologists riding around in Humvees with with protective gear on them, doing their best to diffuse an impossibly violent situation at great personal risk to themselves. We're doing their best. And they were censured by their professional association, which of course comes out of a legacy of having been involved in things in the colonial era that are very important to still think about today. So this is not going to be an easy bridging of cultures, but I think it's a necessary one.
Matt, did you want to jump in?
I think you're entirely right. It is a really difficult, and the thing that would be wrong would be to move forward without awareness of these risks and without awareness of the legacy problems, right? I was also going to mention that there are some reasons why you'd rather not have the state funding some of these types of activities, right? We, again, heard this from a number of organizations, and you may recall there were some grants given out for this type of work, and a number of the recipients of those grants actually sent the money back after the election because they no longer wanted to receive government funds to do this kind of work in a Muslim community when Islamophobia seemed to be the rule of the day. That taking money from the government, even to do a good project, it could turn into a not good project because of the source of the funds. And that's a sort of just a very difficult dilemma in terms of where to get funding for this, because the people who do care about this, including those in the military where they have lots of money, I'm saying this, but folks, right, the military, Unit X, has some money to put towards this, and yet that money may not be the best source from the point of view of a grassroots organization that is trying to build trust and empower a local community, right? So where you could get funds, you wouldn't want that money because it would put at risk the trust building exercise that you're trying to undertake.
Did you want to?
Yes, I wanted to add something. Actually, we are talking a lot about research, and maybe in people's minds it's about a theory and like academy research. But I would like to say that it's our context in Tunisia that made us start by doing a research. We didn't have enough data in this area. Violent extremism is traditionally seen as a security matter. So even if there is data, it's not available to public and NGOs, etc. So this is where we started to collect our own data and from a sociology perspective. But I would like to add also that we might want to look in conflict zones, in post-conflict zones, and fast transitioning countries where women have been doing initiatives for a long time now, not because they were victims or they didn't choose to be perpetrators of violence, but they became leaders of innovative and creative activities with youth, with the religious leaders, because they had a high stakes, the safety and the security of their own community. So another type of research would be to go and see what they are doing and if it is efficient, and now we can also improve our monitoring and evaluation tools in this area where we need to evaluate what we are doing and if it is efficient and if we're correctly really improving people's life and so the safety and security of the communities.